welcome to Bendy, a podcast about being flexible in all of the ways that means. Thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Young, and I'm one of your youthful, stupid hosts. Joining me as always is our other youthful and stupid host, Beth Martin. Beth, the pleasure as always. What's the crack?
Yeah, youthful and
I did not. No, I did not work too hard on them this week, but also they were the funniest options as far as I was concerned.
I like it. So we have spring break for the kids next week. Do you guys get that? Like a break in the spring?
Not really, but okay. I think people have an awareness of what it is in this country. Like we have, I guess, Easter holidays. No, we have like a half-term break, which would be the closest thing to it.
Okay. So we are going to Los Angeles.
Nice.
Not to go to Disneyland or Universal or any of those things, but to just like experience LA. Mm-hmm. So, like Santa Monica, we're going to stay in Santa Monica. Going to go to the Santa Monica Pier where I saw Zoe Saldana last time. We were there. I know, right? And her husband and her kids. And I remember when she was giving her Oscar speech, she was like, and my husband, like, I love your hair. And I was like, that's all she has to say about her man. Anyways.
True love.
True love. Yes. Great hair. So there's a bar there called The Galley that I think I've mentioned to you, where it's a staple. It's been there forever, and they've got probably 1 billion Christmas lights on the ceiling, and it's like, old maritime environment. But like, I was like, did they burn down or not? And so I went to their Instagram page, and they're fine. But like, there's a photo of like the guy that runs the galley and Matt Damon and Chris Hemsworth, and I'm like, okay, like, I'm making good choices in terms of where I go. We're going to go to Hollywood. We're going to go to Getty. We're going to go to the LACMA, which is the museum.
Yes, the Academy Museum.
Yes.
I was there 2 years ago.
Were you?
I loved
Did
it.
you do it? Okay, so I'm going to do that. And, typically, like, my favorite place is Venice. Not because of Barbie, but because there's this restaurant that it has this really great fries and like aioli dips that are so good. So I'm excited.
I love it.
Yeah.
I loved.
It's weird though, like looking, because we're getting an Airbnb and there's like this entire area where obviously there's no rentals available because the houses don't exist anymore. So
wild,
crazy, right?
Like, yeah, I mean, I think, LA has, like, I come back around to LA, I remember going there years ago and finding it to be a bit kind of grim and anonymous, but, like, there's lots of fun stuff there. Like, last time I was there, I went hiking around, there's some trails around Griffith Observatory that were really cool, and I really did enjoy the Academy Museum. Like, do you know anything about what's in there?
No, I just remember like Spielberg and like all the directors being like, we need to build an Academy Museum.
Yes.
And like keep all the things.
I won't say them because there's a few things in particular I think.
No, tell me. I want to know.
No, do you?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Bruce the shark from Jaws is hanging up in the foyer?
No way, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And like there is lots of other great stuff.
I need to go. This is my jam then.
Like, whenever I was there was like a because they have a rotating exhibition on the top floor, and it was like Ghibli exhibition, and it was fantastic.
Okay.
It was so cool, and you weren't allowed to take photos in there because it's Ghibli.
Yeah.
It was just absolutely fantastic. I loved that. I mean, it was a fantastic exhibit anyway. It was so fascinating, and they have such incredibly cool stuff in there. For any movie nerds, which you both are.
Yes.
But the Ghibli thing was just fantastic. It was such a lovely day. It really was.
Yeah, I love visiting LA, and like we talked about moving there when we were like, let's move to Southern California, but I just couldn't handle. Have you seen the SNL skit, The Californians?
Yes.
Okay, like I couldn't handle that. So the skit is basically them. It's a soap opera, but all they do is kind of talk about which way that they got somewhere or which way they're going on which freeways.
Yes,
Like,
yes, yeah. That's not the Dana.
I can't
Baker
believe you
105.
slept with him, but and
Yeah,
I know which apartment because you take the 5 to the 8. And
yeah,
we're the Californians, and it's kind of I couldn't the driving like, and now I
yes,
live in the middle of nowhere. I get all the benefits of like the sun, without having to deal with the traffic. But it's also like
yes.
so fun to visit. There's always something happening. I love Hollywood Boulevard. I love like
Mm-hmm.
just like all of the old historical stuff and like Sunset Boulevard, Chateau Marmont, all these
Yeah,
things. So
yeah. That'll be class.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for you. That'll be
Mm-hmm.
great.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I have been over the past week while teaching a lot of yoga. Um, it's one of these times like I keep saying yes to like covering classes and stuff like that recently just because money.
Yeah.
And like I find myself really kind of busy and like it's been quite nice because you get to like expose yourself to different students and things like that. Like I've been making myself promote my Instagram handle. It makes me going to like blow my brains out.
You're like, follow
But,
me at.
follow me. Do you like dogs? Do you like yoga? I mean, like, I don't even do that. I'm just kind of like, not looking at anybody.
Like
Hey guys,
and
if you want to,
subscribe.
yeah, if you don't know where, like, one of my class, I'm teaching. Please follow me on Instagram and like, looking at my feet as I'm doing it. But I don't care. Whatever. Like, it's fine. Thank you. Bye.
You know what you could do is get one of those like little I don't know what
Oh
they're
yeah,
called.
like I don't exactly we standees
Yeah,
with my
a
QR
stand
code
with
on it.
yeah, and you can just have your handle and your QR
That's
code,
true.
and then
I
you
should do
and just
that.
be like, hey, if anybody's interested, I keep all my schedule up on, and there it is.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's a good point, actually. Yeah. Yeah. No, I should do that actually. Like I fucking hate it. As you know, I hate having an Instagram. I hate.
It goes against all things, right?
I hate promoting myself. All of these things. It's
But you are doing it, and every time I see a dog Andy pop up, I get excited, and there's a dog or a schedule, and then I think I am proud of him.
Thank you.
You're
I appreciate
welcome.
it.
You're welcome. It's hard to put yourself out there.
It really is.
Because I know this because I don't do it at all.
I do it begrudgingly. I do it because that's how the system works. I'm also one of the reasons I'm doing it as well is I'm trying to like, maybe figure out more classes in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've talked to you about this before, but there are certain things that are winding down this year. I'm going to stop the pet therapy at the end of the school year, and so on and so forth. So I'm just looking for things to fill the kind of gap in that regard. So we'll see. I mean, like if I could get a handful more private classes, I would be set up completely. So we'll just kind of see what happens.
Good.
But like I mean,
put it out there. That's what you.
Yeah.
That's what you need.
This is it.
Do you advertise that on your Instagram page?
What's that?
The private classes?
No, I don't. Like, that's a good point. That's something that I probably should do. Like, if do a wee, like, if you're looking for a private yoga teacher, reach out to me, blah, blah, blah. You're right. I absolutely
You were
should.
a friend,
Yep.
or if you want to buy a private session for a friend, gift certificate, I take those somehow.
Yeah, I can. Yeah,
I don't know.
Just make out a check to Andy.
Right. Just a thought.
Yeah, I know. I think it's a nice idea, actually. Yeah, and I think I should start doing those sorts of things. So, like, I think that's increasingly the direction I want to go in. So that's
good.
Something I've been thinking about recently.
Yeah.
So yeah. The other thing that I've been doing, and it's not so much me doing it, is getting my bike fixed up.
Ooh.
So my girlfriend's quite like she's like an accomplished cyclist. Like she's done loads of events and things like that, and she's good at bikes. So she has offered to like fix my bike up, and which is gonna be nice because I have dabbled with running over the past couple of years, and it's been nice, but it takes its toll on my back, and I'm looking for like something involving cardio that's not quite as brutal.
Yeah. It's like a lot of pounding pressure, right? On your, on
very
your
much so. Especially my lower back, and with the arthritic condition I have in my back, it is very much, definitely the way to go. So yeah, I'm excited for that. So that's been something else I've been working on, or I've been working on. I've been observing as it happens, you know. So yeah, so that I'm excited to, you know, especially over the summer, to get back out on my bike and, you know, do some big cycles.
I need a bike.
Yeah, they're great.
Because Harper is like riding it. Charlie's ready for one. Mike has one. I'm the only one that doesn't. And like,
Do you like cycling?
I do. I don't like I grew up in a very hilly part of Oregon, and so like biking was not easy. Like some of the hills, like you'd go up 500 feet in like 2 minutes kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like here it's pretty flat. We've got, I don't know if I would do like like trail biking.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little much for me, but like, yeah, it's super easy to bike around here.
Yeah, like I think, yeah, and I suppose
there's a lot of trail riding.
Yeah, that
we've
makes a ton of
got
sense.
the green spaces behind our house, and like they're horse trails, but also people use them for,
I suppose, like
mountain biking.
Certain times of the day would be too warm as well for it, so you'd be early morning, evening, or the evening sort of thing.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, no, it's nice.
Like when we went hiking, and it was like, okay, like we got to get up there before it's 104 degrees.
Crazy.
With no food.
Crazy.
I know.
We did it. We kicked that mountain hills.
We did. And I look at it all the time, and I'm like, there's Mount Woodson. We climbed that, and I feel accomplished. And I'll probably never do it again. Because I know better.
Doesn't matter. You've been it now. I love it. Okay. Do you have any more crack?
I don't think so. Mike's traveling a lot. He's going to Moorea next month.
Okay.
I think.
Nice.
For saving ocean research stuff. So
cool.
Yeah.
That'll be awesome.
Yep.
Good. I'm glad to hear it.
I know.
Okay, do you have any What's Occurring?
Not this week, no.
Okay. I have.
Ooh.
And Andy's Down with the Streets. First time, long time, right? Because one that I've heard a lot recently, and you know, again, like all my favorite pieces of slang, you know, hopelessly uncool by the time I come around to it.
Yeah.
But you know, that's my vibe, right? Hopelessly uncool. And so the word that I am loving at the minute, and I've heard it, I just heard it again recently, which is why it's in my head, is bussin'. And so that word is spelled Bussin, and is a what's the wee thing? Oh wow, I completely forgot. It's like it just ends bussin', and it's got that wee symbol beside the end.
It's apostrophe.
Is that apostrophe?
I know what you're talking about.
Look at us, so smart.
What is bussin'? Okay, if I had to guess, I would say it's bussin'. Like it's cool.
Yes, it's like and I love the kind of like breakdown for these slang terms, which is like something that is exceptional, exciting, or outstanding, which just strips any sort of like cool out of it, like immediately, you know. So yeah, but I just have very much enjoyed that term. There's something that like sounds a bit seedy about the term bussin', or like I don't know, naughty or something like that, which is why I quite like it.
Like, this cake is bussin', or
that girl
is bussin'.
That girl is bussin' is definitely a seedier version of it. But I think both of those things could absolutely work, you know. But yeah, it's just one that makes me happy, and like all of the ones that like I'm drawn to and like stick in my head, I'm just like, ooh, that's fun. That's fun to say as well. If it's fun to say, like it's very high up on the list, you know.
Yes.
But yeah, but that's just, you know, and Andy's Down with the Streets for this week. First time in a while. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yes.
You can give me feedback on it, or you can tell me how I'm wrong, and how I'm saying it, or whatever.
You're already like so out of date that
exactly,
it actually
like,
means riding a bus.
Yeah.
Or bussing a table.
It's so true. Hi Andy, 2003 call. They want their slang back. Amazing. All right. Okay. So, shall we go on to this week's topic, which is Advice for our 18-year-old selves. I was wondering whether we should update the title or think of a different title for that. I mean, I suppose that really explains it quite nicely.
Yeah. I wrote if I could tell my 18-year-old self stuff. So I think
That's the title. Alright, I'm writing that down. If I could tell an 18-year-old, yeah, like that's way better.
And I went into this like, because it's like everyone's like, oh well, everything happens for a reason, and like all the experiences that you went through like got you to where you are, and like I'm super happy about where I am, and I'm not saying that, but like
Sure.
I would go back and like, assuming I'm still gonna end up where I'm at, I have some advices for my
Okay.
stuff.
Like, yeah, you're right. Without causing any major ripples,
Right.
but just stuff that would maybe like
We're
calm
not-
the mind.
exactly.
Or,
We're not gonna butterfly effect the shit. It's gonna be like,
It's true. It's just same sort of outcome, but happier and healthier along the way.
exactly.
All right, do you want to kick us off?
Yes. So I kind of went chronologically. So, okay. 18, I was in college, freshman year, first time living alone. Had a pretty stable upbringing, very sheltered, didn't do a lot of partying. The drinking age in the United States is 21. I never did drugs. I maybe smoked 2 cigarettes. Like really, giant nerd who finally learned how. I think maybe that was the year I learned how to pluck my eyebrows. But, anyways.
Okay.
So, I think first of all, I should have. I think we've talked about this before, but I should have tried harder in school. In college, and like taken advantage of all of the shit that they offered. Because after working as a staff person and like putting on events for students, and I was like, God, like all this was available to me. I went, I went to the Sugar Ray concert that came to the Coliseum at my college, right? But I didn't, take advantage of the lecturers or the special guests that came.
Yeah.
I, got drunk at football games. So.
I mean, like, but I think those are important parts of life as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's important to kind of do those things. Like, I was spending most of that time as you were talking there trying to think of, like, who was in the charts at the time. It was like, Beth's going to college. Somebody is lighting up the charts. First friggin' band that came to mind were NSYNC.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a damning indictment.
Do you remember Sugar Ray?
I do remember Sugar Ray. Yes. Also Sugar Ray lighting up the chart.
I think it was like them and like I want to say maybe Monster Magnet opened for them.
Oh. Jeez, really? Monster Magnet opening for Sugar Ray? What a combo.
It was some weird combination like that where
Yeah,
I was like,
a weird combo.
These don't go together, but whatever.
No.
Yeah.
No, I like that a lot. I give it to me again.
So mine was try harder in school. All you have to do is study and do the work.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I have such a and it's interesting because I'm in schools and stuff these days, and I kind of hear the kids talking, and I'm kind of like, I don't know. I mean, there's definitely value to it. Don't get me wrong, and it will help you out, but I also kind of think that it is very much about like funneling you down a certain path.
Yeah.
And I have mixed feelings about that, about the value of that, or what outcome they're kind of expecting when they do that to you. But I still think there's absolutely value in having
what were you like at 18?
Like a fucking nerd. Like, I mean, what's changed? I am like I had barely kissed any girls. I had
right. I think I had one boyfriend by that point.
Yeah, like I kind of had a few things here and there, like, but nothing really much. So I was like still, loved comic books and video games and like wrestling,
So
and
nothing's changed.
nothing has changed now. And it was nice. But like I still felt completely, you know, I felt completely unprepared for the world and what was going on, what I was going to encounter, and felt kind of like relatively innocent and naive about a lot of it. So again, not much has changed, but like I don't, part of me it feels like that was a good thing in a way, and I was kind of lucky to kind of be in that position. It helps that you're a guy as well, so you can kind of avoid a lot of the kind of major trials and stuff that life throws at you. But yeah, very much so. Still kind of figuring stuff out. But I think, it certainly happened near the end of like high school and stuff. I was like starting to figure out what my identity was.
Yeah.
And I think uni was really useful to me because it allowed me to, I'm not in like a massive town, but a relatively small town I grew up in, and was very kind of like monocultural in terms of like there was a certain type of person that lived in that town that's sort of this, so like going to university and meeting people from all over, at least from my small country, was really good for me and nice for me.
Did you live at home for part of it?
At least part of it, yeah. Like my first year of uni, I lived at home. First year and a half. Then I spent a semester in North Carolina, and then spent my last year living in Belfast. I'm very glad that I did, because it was a fun year.
And you had all your roommates.
Exactly. Yeah. That house was chaos. There was 6 of us in that house.
Oh my gosh! I think the most I ever. I think there was 1 year, where I had 6 people in the house and a raccoon that lived underneath. Okay, another thing I would tell my 18-year-old self is stick with music and theater, even though I didn't end up doing anything with it, but I think it like set me up for success in other ways.
Yes.
And taught me, hard work and that concept of, it's like in a theater production, like you're never really ready for opening night, but there's some magic that happens where the curtain lifts or someone walks out on stage and it all just falls into place. Yeah. And I like that as a metaphor for like my life.
That is nice.
It takes some of the pressure off.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, that's the way I look at it. Like, it's interesting because one of the ones I had written down here was focus more on creative pursuits.
Yeah.
And, like, because I remember, as a youngster, like, writing in, like, our high school magazine and things like that, writing stories and things for it, and, like, that was always something I wanted to do. Like, and I really kind of wished that I had, and I think, it's never too late, and it's very much something that I've talked about on the podcast and with you, is that, like, I really want to pursue that more now, because it was always a dream of mine. And, like, one of the things that I really want to do is make money from a creative pursuit. If that's something I could do, that would be huge. Like, I don't care about the money side of it as much, but, like, what I more mean is that, like, it would be something viable that I could, like, do something with, I could live off, or, that would be huge for me. I think,
absolutely. I think it's, it's like jobs need to happen, cars need to get fixed, teeth need to get cleaned, but I think it takes a certain person to. I'm just like jealous of artists that get to do that, right? And that's like I showed the kids the Bobby Fingers video. Sure. Everyone should go YouTube Bobby Fingers, Jeff Bezos rowing boat right now. Yeah. But like that, I was trying to show like both of them, the kids, like you can. This is a job. This guy has a warehouse. This is what he does. He decides that he wants to take a hair out of his butt cheek and implant it on his head, right?
Graft on his head. I know, it's insane. Like, I think that like I mean, and I think that I think it's really sad, but like I think that like it is a tough life. Even if you are like nominally successful as an artist, it's hard graft.
Yeah.
It's not you're not going to make millions from it unless you are one of the chosen few.
Yeah.
Um,
I wonder sometimes if it's like people that come from affluent families or Afro or creative, because I wonder if that creativity comes from being able to
they
spend
have
the
the
time.
space.
They have the space
Yeah,
and
so true.
and the funding, right?
And the funding, which is very very key. And I mean, we live in an. I mean, and it's always been this way, but like, we live in an era where like funding for the arts is down, down, down,
Yeah.
or virtually non-existent. Which is and it's such a shame.
The kids have an
Such a shame.
The kids have an art teacher that comes every 2 weeks.
No way.
Yeah, like I remember doing art every day in school.
Yeah.
Every 2 weeks.
That's wild.
I know.
To me, that's all.
And they're like, "Yay! We just got funding for this," and I'm like, "Oh my!" So,
Everything sucks.
I make up the difference, and I have a daughter who is like, I mean, I wish everyone could see what I see. I'm in her room right now, but
Mm-hmm.
she's an artist and
She is?
would benefit from more instruction. So all I can do is show her TikTok videos of people drawing teeth. Anyways,
Our modern artists.
I know, right?
Love it.
I have one.
Mm-hmm.
Credit cards are the devil.
Yeah, that is a good one.
I know. So, like, it was like my first day of college, and they had like little booths so you could go around, and like the banks of the town were there, and like, come to this credit union. And Capital One was like, you get a free T-shirt if you sign up for a credit card, and I was like, cool. Didn't know what it was like 13% interest meant. And they gave me, an 18-year-old that didn't know how to balance a checkbook, a credit card with a $5,000 limit. I blew through that in a year.
Hell yeah.
I was like, Abercrombie and Fitch, here I come.
Yeah, treat yourself.
Like, we would go at, like, my roommate and I would go on, like, spending sprees where it was like, buy as many clothes as fast as possible. It was so stupid.
But it's just like, you've got no idea. Like, I mean, it's one of the things that they, probably should teach in schools is like financial literacy.
Yes.
Because like people just don't know. But like, it's in the interests of companies that information is not taught as well.
Yeah.
It's awful.
No.
So yeah, no, I mean, like, I think I have always been, like, I don't know how. Like, I know that my dad has, like, he's pretty good at, like, looking after his money and stuff like that, but he never kind of, like, gave me any instruction as such, but I never spent beyond my means. Like, I've never, like, I have debt in terms of, like, I've had cars, obviously, and I've got a house now and things like that, but, by and large, I've been really lucky in that I've never went kind of, like, too hard, And I know I have other friends who've went absolutely the other direction very, very easily, and then it's like that is hanging over you for years and years and years,
Yeah.
So very lucky in that regard, but an excellent piece of advice, truly. The one that I had written down was be kinder to yourself, and a lesson that I still struggle to learn a lot of the time. There's a variety of reasons for that. Not all of them are entirely under my control.
Right. Was there like a time where you remember like being kind to yourself, or has it been like literally like a lifelong?
Like, I really think that whenever I feel like I was, as in innocent, I don't know if innocent's the right word, but I feel like, until like I'd say even my mid-teens, I was kind of like, which I think is late for some people, but I had like a fairly sort of sheltered, view of the world, and I think I was just, more excited about indulging the things that meant something to me. But then, like, once I started thinking more about, what life was, and like building relationships with people, and like romance and all that stuff, and like how I felt hopelessly ill-equipped with all of that. It was. I feel like that's whenever I really began to be, less kind to myself. I think so. Yeah, whenever I was a fairly young kid, I think I was kind to myself, but I think it's been all downhill from there, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say like, yeah, like once you start adding romance into things, then you really are looking at yourself like, what's wrong with me? That this
Yeah.
person doesn't feel the same way, and that's like, yeah, that's hard. That's
It
hard, and it's
is.
hard to undo. And or I don't maybe there isn't ever undoing it.
I, I, I think yeah, it could be. I mean, it's still like a tough thing for me to navigate and all that sort of stuff. It is still something that I just don't fully understand. Again, I don't think this is anything that advice could maybe solve necessarily, as much as it is just the nature of how my brain works. But like, I think there would be things, internal things I could have done that would have made life a little bit easier in all aspects. Not just that.
Mm-hmm. And it's like now you know to be kinder to yourself, but it's
Yeah.
taken a lifetime to sort of figure that out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there are inbuilt mechanisms that are designed to not be kind to me.
Yeah.
So like I'm fighting that, and those things take the wheel sometimes as well.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's about finding that balance, and the times that you can, quashing those down, and having a counter word for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had written down something similar.
Mm.
Um, I said it's cool to keep going to raves.
Yes, I like it.
So I raved for really like a solid 3 years,
Yeah.
maybe more. And I guess Burning Man counts as a rave.
Yeah.
So it I didn't really know how to have fun
Mm-hmm.
and like just dance and like learning to dance and like dancing by myself, and like dancing was it was like I didn't know how, right? So I
Yeah.
learned that from that experience. um I made some really good friends from that experience, and it kind of like it was the first time where I was like, this is music I really enjoy, like
Yes, I like it.
all
Yeah.
the
No,
so
did you like? And that kind of makes me think about one of the ones I was thinking of, which was like take drugs earlier. You're fairly sensible. It's fine.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think I timed the drug taking like, well, my dad was like, whatever you want to do, like go to college and have at it, but like keep it simple when you're living in our house. And
Mm-hmm.
I totally was like fine, and then I went to college and lost my mind, and it was the
Sure.
best. It was awesome. And
Like,
I had a similar realization where it's like, yeah, I'm pretty sensible.
I feel like because I tried weed pretty early on, and I thought this was great, and I preferred to drink,
Mm-hmm.
and so that was like a constant mainstay. But like in terms of like what else was offered, I probably could have got my hands on some ecstasy had I really pushed the boat out. But I didn't even like. I think it was my late 20s before I even tried any of that, and like I was my arm was twisted into like taking an E one night, and I was like, this fucking rocks,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's just been like where appropriate, trying
Yeah.
things here and there,
Yes.
But like, I feel like, as I say, I never, like, I mean, I have absolutely drank to excess on a number of occasions, but it tends to be a community thing. Like, it tends to be a, like, let's go, 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 like, and the drinking culture in this country is wild in that regard.
Yeah.
And, some amazing times as a result of those things, but also it was too much a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But like, never with drugs, do you know what I mean? It was always kind of like, let's see how this works for me,
Mm-hmm.
and let's go from there.
Mm-hmm.
So I never like went full tilt into anything.
I was always, I never got too far into anything. But I'm all about experiences and trying new
Yeah.
things, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I think like I was like a lot more fearful as well. It's why I have thrown myself into things as I kind of gotten older. I was really fearful about life in the world and all sorts of things and what these things might do to me. And I think like shedding a lot of that has been really helpful for me in terms of like my growth.
I'd written down literally no one knows what they're doing, and like you don't have to have a big master plan.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Like thinking that like I remember thinking when I was in school and even in university, I was like, this is fucking chaos. Nobody has a fucking clue what's going on. I can't wait until I'm an adult, I'm working in jobs, and it's all figured out there and everything runs smoothly. And
Right.
then you get the jobs and you're like, oh, none of these motherfuckers have a clue either.
No.
They're all fucking,
Everyone's just literally like flying by the seat of their pants.
very much so. And like, if anything, it's kind of slightly worse than school and things like that because there's money involved. So it like creates another other kind of vector of like bullshit. So yeah. Oh,
The vector of bullshit.
Vector of bullshit. And like that was one of the things that I was like that. And certainly I felt this when I would have been younger, but I still think I was in the throes of it at 18, which was this kind of rush to be an adult.
Yeah.
And like don't be in a rush to get there.
Yeah.
Because like it is what it is. Like it's another sort of experience. I think that I was very negative on adulthood, certainly in my 20s and things like that, but now I'm kind of like, it's like whatever. It's like a whole other set of responsibilities. There is like a whole different pressure on you. It's just it's a lot, but it's you do have more freedoms, but also you have more restrictions.
Yeah, it's we talked to the kids about it. It's just like you guys are living the life. You're living the life.
You don't know.
And Charlie's concept of like, now he's decided he wants to live with us forever. But before he was like, I want to move back to Oregon and I want to get a house. And the first floor is going to be a ball pit, and the second floor is going to be full of marshmallows. And I was like, "What? Great, right?"
I like it. I hope he.
I know. But like, that's awesome that's where his mind is at, and I'm like, thinking of all the realities of like life, and like, no, like just enjoy that dream for as long as you can.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna wait. I was gonna ask you if you had another one.
I said I should have traveled abroad in college. I should have done that, and I didn't. And I think it would have. I didn't really like figure out that I could travel and go places until like I started like dating Mike, really, and he was like, "Fly to LA this weekend," and I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Come down to
you
San
can't
Diego.
Do that. You can't just do that.
No, you can't just like get on an airplane and go wherever you want, like, right? Yeah. And he was like, I'll buy your ticket, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't tell my parents. Right? So that, and like, like within, like, he taught me a lot about the world, and but I also wish that like I had taken the time to do that myself.
Yeah.
Earlier on, and maybe I would have like gone to Greece, which I've never been to. So,
like, I think that it was such a because like I did obviously I did my semester in University of North Carolina, and it was incredible, and I'm so glad that I did. And like I think it was the start of the idea of me throwing myself into things that were terrifying to me, like going away on this trip by myself for however amount of time was so scary to me, and I'm so glad that I did it. Like, especially, doing it by yourself, because I had friends who would go and do summer camps, and like they would volunteer, and they would come over from Ireland, and they would do those things. And I really badly wanted to do that with them, but like it's a very different experience doing that with a group of friends that you already know versus taking a swim by yourself. And I was like, funny the year after that, like the that summer after that, rather, I'd hoped to do that, but I found that the nature of my visa was I would essentially have to fly home and then fly back, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't really want to like. I think now, if flights have been relatively inexpensive, or I had a thought about it and I was like, oh, maybe I could fly to Mexico for a bit, and that sort of thing.
Yep.
I maybe would have, but then I was just like, yeah, I can't be doing that. But yeah, it was very good for me, and it was the start of like me taking those big swings, like teaching in Korea, or yoga teacher training and things like that. Just kind of throwing myself into the deep end.
Yeah. Jealous.
Yeah, I am. One of the things I'll give credit to past Andy for is that he was like, you need to build your confidence. Let's throw yourself into things that will force you to do that.
Yeah. Good job, little Andy.
Yeah. The other one that I had written, I don't want to hear it that I had, which was, you're different, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, your brain's different. You don't maybe function like a lot of other people seem to, but that's okay.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
because that took me a long time to like come to terms with, I guess.
Yeah, and I think even like since I've known you, that has been something that you've been working to figure out for yourself.
Yep.
And
very much so.
Yeah, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm different too.
You are. You are.
And that's okay.
But truly, all of the best people in my life, all the people I love, have weird brains.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I love that. I
Yes.
love that. Like, they'll just throw something at me, and I can't possibly see it coming, or I love being around weird brains. They're the most interesting people to interact with. Truly.
I could not spend. I mean, there are times where you have to go and stand in a room and have like the bland conversations, but like it's soul crushing and sucking, and it's like having like we had friends over last night. Mike's like, so I actually had these friends over so we could put the hood of the car back on, and I'm like, okay. He's like, I'll get him a little tipsy first and then we'll do that, right? And like, I never know like what he's gonna say or do ever, and
I love it.
It's pretty awesome.
So he's not telling them that before they turn up. No.
I mean, he was gonna do it when you were here, but he wasn't quite ready. Right.
Okay.
So
I would happily help him with that.
Yeah, totally.
Sorry, go on.
I have another one.
Okay, go for it.
Don't marry that guy in your 20s. I don't know if our listeners know this, but I was married before.
Yeah. True.
And it was just the worst idea ever. I was like 22 or 23. I was a baby.
Yeah, that is young to be getting married.
It was so young, and like it was more to like prove my parents wrong, right? And he was like the red flags were everywhere. There were like so many flags. It was like covered in red flags. It was
tossing them across the field, yeah.
Literally. And like I went through it thinking on that day, like, well, you can always get divorced.
I think I remember you telling me that exact thought. So incredible.
You can always get divorced. And it lasted like 3 years, but it was torture. It was awful, and like just like find your person, even if it takes, being in your late 20s or 30s or 40s or 50s or 60s. Like, just don't.
It might be a long process. Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Don't settle.
And if something, don't settle, and if something's not working out, also walk away from it. It's fine. It will ultimately be better for you in the long run.
And you can't change people.
Yes.
No matter how hard you want to. They have to change themselves.
Absolutely. Yes, exactly. Forcing change is just, completely ineffective. Yeah. Couldn't agree more with that one. What else do I have? I've gone through most of mine, actually. I feel like I'm... Do you have any others?
I have a ton, actually.
Okay, go for it.
Mine was start a spiritual journey with yoga.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like, if I didn't...
That was...
Like, think of the people that... Like, think of the tools that we would have had available in our 20s and 30s.
So true. And I am excited, and I have friends who are younger than me in their 20s and stuff like that who picked it up then, and I'm thrilled for them that they did, because I think it's a great time to
I'm just jealous. That's just how I operate.
Yeah, I know. But like I also have to say that certainly for me in my country it just wasn't an option back then. The very thought of it was madness, Like my journey through it was basically because I have, one of the reasons I'm grateful I've got my bad back, which was like I'm looking for a solution for this that isn't taking drugs.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, this could work potentially. This is exciting. So yeah.
And I think it would have helped me, like, process the grief over my dad. But I literally had no tools. I had no tools. I had no belief in anything spiritual at all. I was just like, when you die, and that's it. The end of everything. And it was just like the loneliest, awful place to be. And like, having those tools when I was really sick with long COVID, like, that got me through the day, and that kept me alive, and that kept me like, that helped, getting kind of deep and sad here, but like that kept me from like, deciding not to be here.
Yes. So. Doing something drastic. Yeah, absolutely. You're so right. I think like also like, just generally, and it's something that you guys really made me think a lot more about, is this idea of what spirituality is, which is something I very much had rejected, I think, by the time I was 18.
Yeah.
And like, leaving yourself open to what that might look like in the future as well, Yeah.
So, and I remember some of the people that were at our yoga teacher training were on the younger side. And like, we had a teenager there, and I was like, think of what this person is going to be able to do.
So true.
We had 2 teenagers there, and I was like, think of how the support that they'll have internally within themselves, and hopefully they feel like that. But I said keep in touch with friends from high school, because I married someone that I went to high school with.
Yeah.
But like, really, like, keep in there are some people that I wish that I had stayed better friends with, or stayed friends with, and
I have friends that I still know from, like, when we talked about in a friendship episode, one of my good friends, like, from, like, that sort of like fell apart, and I was kind of sad about it, but I feel like a lot of my like best friends I didn't make until I was in university, and I maybe had a better idea of who I was and what I wanted from life, and some of them, like, 25 years strong going now, some of those friendships, and like I do, like, I mean, I think that then there are still people I am in touch with from high school, but they're not like my loved ones friend wise, they're not like in my inner circle, sort of like, if I was going through a hard time, I would pick up the phone to those guys, the folks that I made after that, when I was more of the person that I became, are those friends for me.
I would say, like, because Mike's 3 years older than me, and I'm more friends with like his group of friends. So like, he's having his high school reunion coming up in August. 30 years? Isn't that crazy? I've known him since I was 13. It's weird. That's right. But like, I know that I could, like, they're like they're a core group. Yep. I love them all so much, and it like makes me happy that they're all gonna get together. I wrote, if someone gifts you a pumpkin as a bong, that's cool. Smoke it. So, Andy, what's the weirdest thing you've ever smoked out of? Mine's a pumpkin. And it was not a small pumpkin. It was a big fucking pumpkin.
I think that probably nothing super weird, but like some really stupid things, like we would take buckets every now and again. Do you know what a bucket is?
No.
So you essentially take like a soda bottle, say like a 2 liter soda bottle, and you kind of slice the bottom off, and you get a bucket of water, right? and you kind of light the thing, and you pull the thing up, and then you kind of like push it down into the water.
Do you know what it's called? We call it
What's it called?
We call it a gravity bong.
Gravity bong? Ah, that's what a gravity bong is. I've heard that term. I didn't realize that's what it was. We call it a bucket, right? It was just like some fucking Irish shit. Mainly because it would be done in a bucket. But we kept like going, well, how can we experiment with this? And we, got bigger and bigger bottles. So you're like taking a 5-liter bottle. 5 liters of smoke is too much. It's too much. It's a bad idea. It's a very bad idea. And then like, also probably the worst thing I ever smoked was a blunt, using a cigar for thing. And it was like, I still don't get cigars at all. But also,
either.
Here's why that's such a bad idea is you're not supposed to inhale cigar smoke and you are supposed to inhale weed.
Yeah.
So it's just so you're inhaling cigar smoke and it's like searing your lungs and your throat. And you're like, what am I doing?
Yes.
Madness.
Mike
and
his friend this is in college, they made a gravity bong using a toilet.
I love it.
That's one of the things I'm most impressed with about him.
Yeah, he's so inventive.
Just flush the toilet and it does the work for you.
That's one of my favorite things when you tell me about Mike was like, he's an artist, his medium is fire.
Yes. Yes.
It's like, fuck yeah. I love it.
I know. I said don't get a smartphone or wait as long as you can to get a smartphone.
I did, and I was one of the holdouts. Like I was like, took me so long because I still hate the idea of people being able to contact me whenever, wherever. It's like, no, gross.
No, I was like an early adopter. I still have my original iPhone.
Nice, wow.
Yeah. So at some point it'll be worth $10, and I'll
say hello, $10. Hello, classic. No, that's a great piece of advice. I think they're the devil. I still think they're the devil. That's why mine is on do not disturb at all times, always.
Yeah.
I was like, what if people want to talk to you on the phone? Tough.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to them.
No. And that's a thing with newer generations. If like people, they don't know how to talk on the phone.
No.
And they get anxious, and like that's me, honestly.
One of the reasons why I hated CBT so much was that, like, one of the last people I went to, CBT practitioners I went to, was like, here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to deal with your social stuff. We're going to get you to just call a friend randomly on the phone. And I'm like,
oh my God.
No. I don't fucking want to do that
None
under
of my
any
friends
circumstances.
Would be like,
yeah, but
what
what's
the
wrong?
fuck is
Are you okay?
wrong?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That would be their first instinct. And then what? I'm supposed to just have a conversation with them after that? I don't think so.
Like, I'm at this therapy thing, and they'd be like, do you need me to come and get you?
Yeah, you do. Yes, please. Rescue me from this therapy. Fucking
nuts. I said read more. Because I have all these books on my bookshelf, like Farewell to Arms and Old Man and I need to read more Hemingway, and it's like sitting there staring at me.
Yeah.
And I just can't pick up the book. But if I'd read it like in my 20s, then I would have read it.
Yes, you have more tolerance for that shit. I remember like trying to read Crime and Punishment and stuff like that. Like I made it through 200 pages and was like, yeah, fuck this noise.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of effort.
It is. I think I did quite well considering, but it was just a lot of like this guy feeling guilty about the shit that he'd done. And I was like, I get it. The punishment is the guilt he's feeling, right?
Right.
Yeah, but like I think that because I was such a fucking indoor kid, continue to be that. I was like reading books voraciously, but that's continued.
I read a lot until like college, basically, when you're supposed to actually be reading.
Yeah,
but I was too busy like living
books.
Life. Right. I was like, no.
Exactly.
I have a rave tonight.
Exactly. What am I going to do? Read? I don't think so. Would you have any others?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I looked at some other people's stuff, and it was like the pressure you feel to be perfect is the pressure you would put on yourself. Let it go. And like all that shit is like kitschy and I don't know. Not real.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you.
The pumpkin bong, that is real.
The Penguin Wall's real. That's something you'll take with you
Right.
to the end.
I'm giving someone an idea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Maybe you can try it with a turnip. I don't know.
I mean, that's true. Turnip bongs. Yeah, go for turnip bongs. All right. If you're a real Bandy the podcast fan, you'll be taking turnip bongs.
That's right.
I don't think they'll be squidgy enough. No, that you can make it work. All right, nice. This is a good way to end things. So we get into our favorite section of each episode, which is what's been bringing you joy this week.
One of my favorite things to do is to go to the dump. Have I told you this?
No.
Yeah. So Mike's like, hey, I got an appointment with the hazmat waste people. And I was like, he's like, do you want to go? And I was like, yes, I do. It's like, here, there are different dumps. It's like a landfill. Okay. Some of them have an open pit, and you have like a bulldozer that's like bulldozing all the garbage down into the pit, which is like, that is one of my favorite things. I could just sit and watch that all day long. Mm-hmm. Some of them you drive in and like you have to like put the metal with the metal and the greens with the greens and whatever and sort it yourself. And then there's the haz waste, which is like batteries and like LCD screens and I don't know. So we went on Saturday. We had an appointment and it's free. And the guy in front of us had this little Toyota truck, and I swear to fucking God, it took them 30 minutes to unload all of the hazardous waste. And Mike is like going off. He's like, he probably advertises on Craigslist that like people, pay him to take all their hazardous waste. He had 4 giant LCD screens. He had, I don't know, those like rolling cart things. He probably had 7 of those full of just like paint and random. Mike was like, that's ether. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, I'm like, how do you know that?
Yeah.
Anyways, it was great. And I just love seeing how things work and like knowing how, people work at the haz waste.
I hear you. Like I've got a few things. Like I worked at a dump as a summer job.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Was it amazing? I mean, I know it smells bad, but
I did. It was like whenever I did it was one of the 2 things I did was one. It was when recycling was starting to come in, and we were like on the recycling lines, and we were just sorting stuff in. And this was a time when nobody gave a fucking shit. So you just like a recycling box. Here's paper, and it'd be filled with like used nappy diapers. It'd be filled it was just disgusting. It was so horrifying.
Oh my God.
So yeah, that was interesting. And also I spent a few days, or I think maybe a few weeks, actually on one of the dumps. I can't even remember what I was doing, but it was just like, I don't know, maybe starting stuff flying away. Who the fuck knows? But it was grim and it was disgusting and yeah, interesting nevertheless.
Did you get to drive anything, like a forklift or anything?
No, sadly not. I did another job later on, but not in that job. Oh yes, the other thing I was going to say to you was, so what's happened with dumps in the UK over the past few years is they've had like a rebrand, and they're now called amenity sites. So like if you like search for like the dump in your most recent town, no results. You have to remember, what are they calling it now? Oh, amenity sites. Fucking weirdos.
That's
so
weird.
Yeah, right.
That's weird.
So yeah. Okay, my other one, my joy this week is that Severance season 2 has been fantastic.
Yes.
We have the finale this week. I'm thrilled. It's been easily as good as season 1 and just such a wonderful show. And yeah, get in Severance if you haven't already, folks.
Do you have a favorite episode?
I really enjoyed the episode where they went on the field trip so far, which was really cool. And all the revelations and stuff that came from that, I thought that was just because I really like it. Because that show's great at throwing you curveballs, and I just didn't expect them to ever take them outdoors anywhere. It was really cool.
Yes. I liked the goat room.
Yes.
And I actually liked, there was the episode with Harmony Cobell, going back to the Lumen factory and
Yes, it was great.
Speaking of ether, that just that, because it didn't make sense in season 1 that she would help Mark, and that gave a little bit more backstory to that.
It did.
So it made me happy.
So yeah, excited to see where it goes. But yeah, great show, absolutely wonderful show. So yeah, that's what's been bringing me joy this week. So Beth, can you let everybody know where they can find us?
We are on the internet.
Ooh.
Did you know? Yeah, we are at bendypodcast.com.
Fancy.
Not .au.com.
Ooh, the real deal.
I know, right?
All right, folks. In that case, as always, we'd like to remind you to stay bendy. Oh, Beth's really going for it.
I just couldn't
All
stop. Sorry. I win!
Yeah.
All right. Love
Right,
you guys.
fine.
Bye.
We love you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.